Welcome to Star Wars Action News, helping Star Wars collectors collect better.
We also picked up a couple other electronic droids. Thanks to Dale, because I've never seen this in stores, we got the Target Remote Control BB-8. And thanks to being in the right place at the right time at Toys R Us, we also got the Sphero BB-8. Andrew, did you pick up some of those?
Yeah, I got the Sphero BB-8. I ordered it from Bed Bath & Beyond on Friday morning, and then did an in-store pickup, went over and grabbed it that afternoon. But I do not have the Target BB-8. I've seen it at our Target, but have not picked it up.
Well, I wanted to see which one was better because pre-release, I was really confused. I thought there was only one BB-8 that everyone was talking about, this remote control BB-8 that was all the buzz, and I thought it was the Target exclusive. And then finally, like right before Force Friday, something clicked in my brain. I had the aha moment. Oh, there's two of them. And one's at Target, one's not, and one at Target is by Hasbro. But the one that's at Bed Bath & Beyond and every place else is by Sphero. And the one at Target is much bigger and half the price. So I was really interested in this. And I've never had a Sphero. I mean, for those who don't know, because I didn't, there's this toy that they made called Sphero that is just basically a ball that you control with an app, and it can do all kinds of things. They found a way to put a head on it, paint it like BB-8, customize the app, and hence they have the much more popular BB-8 Sphero, which sold out nationwide on Force Friday. Everybody was panicking about them. They're still harder to find, and it has been declared in many magazines and websites that this is the hot Christmas item this year.
Yeah. And I was really excited about it when we got it, and I begged you to open it up in New York, and you're like, no, we have to wait. I'm like, ah!
Have to take it to the photo studio,
Yes.
photo it boxed. So we got them out last night, and I started with the Target Hasbro one. And that thing is larger. Neither one, I believe, is life-size BB-8, judging by the Hasbro 6-inch figure. I haven't really gotten a good sense of scale from him in the trailers yet, but he appears to be quite a bit shorter than R2, but quite a bit larger than anything I've seen other than perhaps the Target store display that has a gorgeous life-size BB-8 that they say don't touch.
They do?
Yeah, there's a big sign, don't touch.
Oh. It makes noise when you walk by, and it really annoys me.
And the one from Hasbro, it requires 4 AA batteries in the motor. You open it up, you get the top of the ball, the bottom of the ball, the head, and then a motor and a remote control. And it's all the cheapest feeling plastic. I gotta say that right off the bat. You touch it, just remember like those Planet sets that Hasbro sold in the 90s that came with an Ewok or a Yoda or Darth Vader, and it was like you close it and it looks like Endor or the Death Star.
Oh, yeah.
And then you open it up and there's a figure inside. It was like that quality of plastic, but bigger.
All right.
And the motor came outside of it. You had to put 4 AA's in the motor. I think one of them, because they're in different spots, one controls the left-right motion, and then the 3 are what power the wheels to get it going.
I didn't get to see his guts.
And you just pop the batteries in, screw back on the cap, throw the thing in the ball, and it's basically, you've seen those like hamster toys, right? That are in the ball.
It's a hamster wheel.
Yeah, that's what this basically is you have the motor inside of the ball and it works like a hamster, but they used, I think, magnets or something like that to keep the head on. Then you put 2 AA's in the control, and bingo, you have a sound-making BB-8 that doesn't do so well on carpet, but it works pretty well on either really like a solid carpet, like a Berber, or really well on hardwood floors, linoleum, that sort of thing.
Yeah, this one had trouble making the transition from wood floor to area rug. Well, granted, it's like a shag area rug, but it would get to the edge and roll backwards and go on its back and when its tummy rubbed.
How durable would you say it is? You said it was kind of cheap plastic, but I'm just thinking of like, you know, when you're learning to control it, running into walls and everything, how's it feel like it's going to hold up over the long run?
I am the world's worst remote control driver.
I can second that, having seen you now control BB-8.
Yeah. I crashed him into dogs, walls, dog crates, sofas, chairs, and he's still going.
Okay.
So he seems pretty solid so far.
Yeah, it's a thicker plastic. Also, it does not get much speed at all.
No.
Okay.
I was a little disappointed in how slow it is. It's also infrared controlled, so you have to be line of sight between your controller and the ball itself. And it goes, we went probably 20, 30 feet and it kept going, but it does have a limited range and you have to be pointing your controller at it at all times. It is what it is, and it's kind of cool for that. But once we drove it around the house and chased the dogs with it a couple of times, I was like, now what?
Mm-hmm.
And it's also got a really annoying way to turn it off. You have to pick it up and hold it upside down for a few seconds to power it down. Because obviously you can't have a switch on the ball because it'll impact the rolling. I mean, it does roll 360 degrees in all directions.
And if you don't turn it off, it sits there and makes noise constantly.
Okay, so I have two questions about noise. One is, how loud is the motor when it's running? And two, does the sound come from BB-8 himself or does it come from the remote?
It comes from BB-8 himself. And the motor, you can hear it going, and it goes. And every once in a while you hear like a chunk, I think, as it if it hits something, it kind of resets itself and falls a little inside the ball. But you can definitely hear it going as it goes, which is, exactly what it sounds like, just so we're clear.
It's remote control car noise, It's pretty standard in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
What's really funny to me is the head. It swaps back and forth, back and forth. It's like drunk BB-8.
It is. It's hilarious.
It's like swaying forward and then jerking back, then swaying forward, jerking back. It's a weird motion on it. But when you turn left and right, I do like that the head turns. You're turning the motor inside because of how the magnets align. The head is actually turning, so he's always going towards, or if you are going backwards, away from where his eye points.
So then how would you say it compares then to the Sphero?
Well, it's like 4 times the size, first of all. I will say the Sphero has... I think the Target one looks more like I'd expect the droid to look because of the color of the plastic, and it's... The Sphero is very shiny.
Yeah, it's got like a real high gloss finish, whereas the Hasbro toy is a matte plastic.
Yeah, and so I figured the Target probably looks more like BB-8's going to look versus the Sphero. I did not control the Sphero. You did both of them.
Yeah. I want to say right off the bat, when I saw those Spheros at Toys R Us, my immediate response is, wow, that's small.
Yeah, it's smaller than my dog's head.
I mean, I heard they were making it. I'd seen a couple photos online at that point. But when I saw these little tiny things, like I'd say around the size of the Funko Pop BB-8 rolling around the floor, I was like, that's not a toy, that's a rodent. I was scared to death of stepping on it at Toys R Us. It was like underfoot at all times, the way the people were controlling it.
Yeah, it's definitely small. I think that's what a lot of people are saying about the price, because I think it's $150.
Yeah.
And so you're spending $150 on something that's that small. So that's what's holding a lot of people up from getting it if they could ever find it.
The other thing is it requires a smartphone. And I understand that a lot of people have smartphones and it works with only Android or iPhone. So you Windows Phone people or you Microsoft Surface people, of which I'm one, too bad. But you're locking yourself in with an app control. That's the one great thing about the Target one. I think that's better for kids. I know so many parents who have 8, 9, 10, 12-year-old children, and they are just struggling with the constant battle. That kid wants an iPhone, and they don't want to give the child a smartphone.
Yep.
And then I think they do all have like a family iPad for car use, because more important is keeping kids quiet in the car.
Amen.
But it requires that device. So the cost of entry is high unless you already have an iPhone or an Android phone or an iPad. But I didn't care about size. Size matters not if the droid is cool. And the packaging of this is amazing. I mean, the nice high quality box, and you open it up and it's like a crate that BB-8 would come in, and it's got like BB-8 on the side and it's all the Star Wars art. I like when high-end Star Wars items have packaging to match. And this really does, including a nice foam cutout place for the BB-8 to go. And the charging station, it's inductive charging. And what that means, if you don't have an Android phone, is you don't have to plug anything into the droid. You set it on the base, and that's enough contact that it's going to charge your BB-8. And the base itself only charges by USB. So you'll either need, one of the AC adapters with USB or plug it into your computer, but it doesn't sync with your computer in any way. It's not like when you plug your phone in and you start transferring photos and whatnot.
Yeah, I found that to be a little annoying because now I have to keep the base station, basically on my desk. I can't put it on a shelf somewhere else in the room.
Yeah, we've pretty much replaced all of our outlets with those 6 outlet blocks that have 2 USBs on top.
Mm-hmm.
So those are only like $15 on Amazon.
And well worth the investment, Andrew. I cannot stress that enough because you pretty much like almost quadruple your real estate for a regular plug, and you've got USB ports.
I mean, we have those by the bed for charging phones at night. We have them all over the house, so it was pretty easy to find one to plug Sphero into. And he has a very standard micro jack USB port. So you don't need to be limited by the cord Sphero provides, which is about 3 or 4 feet long only. If you have an Android phone, you're probably very familiar with this jack, or USB charged headphones. This is a very standard power jack. I was a little disappointed, as you hinted at, Andrew, that the droid itself is dead silent.
Yeah.
Every sound that makes comes out of the app on the phone, and that is it.
Yeah, that's one of my 2 major dings on it, is that it's disappointing, right? Like, you want BB-8 to talk like BB-8 in the movie, which we haven't seen. But it's a little cheap, I guess. I don't know. Like, yes, it's small, so maybe they just didn't have space to put a little speaker in the droid, but I would have preferred it if they had figured out a way to do that.
I agree. First of all, I think bigger would be better on this, and having a speaker in it would be much better. It might hurt the aesthetic a little bit. The Hasbro one does have holes on each side to allow sound to come out. And this is a solid ball, so the sound could be muffled, or they'd have to have speaker vents. I get why they wouldn't do it, but by the same token, it reminds me of like those games that they have for iPads and Androids where you buy a figure and you put the figure on your iPad, but then it just scans it in and then you put the figure aside and you're just playing an app.
Right.
And for a lot of what BB-8 does, it's app controlled. And honestly, having played with him, he doesn't do that much yet. They're promising an app update when The Force Awakens comes, said they were very limited by what Lucasfilm would allow them to do. All right, I'm reading between the lines. What they said was, we didn't want to spoil the movie by including these things. I think that the licensee would be more than happy to spoil the movie away if it made them a few bucks.
Well, I wonder if it's, holy crap, a whole bunch of people are going to be buying this. We better up our game. Because
it is a remote control droid that you can control. The voice commands are kind of fun. It took me a little while. The app seemed slightly buggy in that way, but I do like being able to give him voice commands. It reminds me of the old remote control R2-D2 or voice command R2-D2 that could patrol your room or sing the Cantina song and things like that. Have you set that up on yours?
I have not done anything with the voice controls. I'm not a big fan of voice controls because they frustrate me. BB-8, go straight. BB-8, go straight. Like that would just really annoy me.
He doesn't do that. You can't really drive him with that. You say, okay, BB-8 to get his attention. And then you can tell him to look around or go explore to put him in control mode. You can do go to sleep or wake up to power him down. If you say, watch out, it's a trap or run away, he just picks a direction and bolts in it. And 5 times out of 5, he slams into a wall.
Do you have to say it's a trap like Admiral Akbar?
I don't know if I have to, but I always have. And then you can get a reading of his mood by saying, what do you think or how do you feel? And then you get some BB-8 sounds.
Which come from your phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, this is only available for iPhone right now. Android did not yet have voice control.
That's interesting.
But as far as driving him, the app's a little bit tricky because you orient which way is pointing towards you with a blue light. I do love how he lights up. I don't think that's movie accurate, but it's cool that it's like a crystal ball type weird thing.
When he's charging, he kind of glows a little bit at first. Yep.
I do like that effect. It's just nifty is the word I'll use. But once you have the blue light pointing at you, the point is you point on the app the direction you want him to go with the orientation being you, not the orientation being which way he's facing. I find actually the remote control version to be more intuitive, that if I'm pushing forward, it's going the way BB-8 is facing. And if I go forward and push right, then it's going to turn him right. But because this is app controlled, if I'm pull towards me, he's going to come towards me. And if I point up or right, then he's going to basically go at like a 1 or 2 o'clock angle.
So you're saying is I cannot drive this?
It takes some getting used to for me.
I had a hell of a time with the actual remote control on the Target one, though. It just seemed backwards to me.
Then this one might actually make a little bit more sense.
Yeah, that's quite possible. I grew up playing with remote control cars, and so this may be easier for you. He's a lot faster, though.
Oh, yeah. Especially, I find he's really fast on, like, hardwood floors. He slows down a little bit on the carpet, but on the hardwood floors, he zips along.
Yeah, and his head is pretty stable, too. A lot better than that Hasbro one.
Yeah, but if you run him into a wall, it's probably going to pop off. And then the ball really freaks out if it starts to lose orientation and just starts spinning like crazy in place.
I have not yet had that happen.
Yeah, it's pretty amusing. My daughter really loves it when that happens.
Have you ever put him in patrol mode?
I have. I found that it doesn't really work all that well. It might be because I was in a small room with a lot of stuff for it to run into.
I was in our living room. It's not a small room, but there were bookcases and a dog crate and whatnot. And in patrol mode, you can actually see an event log. And
I did see that, yeah.
I'm a little bit curious if a collision detected of severity 158 is bad.
Yeah, there's really no idea what the scale is on.
I'm wondering if this event log is used in case of a damaged BB-8 and you go to the company, oh, you had a severity 200 crash. Too bad.
Or if it's even real and it's just like making stuff up.
But I didn't find that he learned our room all that well. He'd bump into the same spots repeatedly.
Yeah, I found the same thing. I don't know, like I said, if it's just because I was in a small space, but if you're having the same problem with a bigger room, maybe that's just a fault of the app.
Yeah, I would have thought that he'd be smart enough that if he hit this bookshelf once, he wouldn't hit it again. But he seemed to be in a pattern because he kept hitting the exact same spot on the bookshelf.
Yeah, I pictured it being more like Roomba technology.
Yes, me too. That was something that I had excited for. I thought it could just kind of live, you know? He could be around and he could just go where he wants to go and learn the area. He also, I mean, our living room has a double doorway into our kitchen. He never ventured in there. He never found his way in there, I guess.
He did get stuck. Remember by the dog crate, he got stuck between the open door and the bookcase.
What's weird is he'll hit things that are slightly too tall for him, but he keeps pushing, and then the head slides.
And it's like he's doing the limbo.
Yes, yeah. And then he gets under it. He did that to the sofa, too. And I'm just like, he got under there, he can get back out. And about 5 minutes later, he comes rolling out.
What do you guys think of the head itself? Like, it's got those little antennae on it, which scare me because they're so thin. Yes.
Every time he'd bump up against something that was slightly too low, I'm like, don't break the antenna.
Yeah, but they seem to bend really well and then just pop right back into place. So
I've seen a lot of people complain that they got bent antennas with theirs, but I think that that's good that there's some durability to them and they're not going to snap off.
The other big issue that I have with it in regards to the head are the wheels that are under the head so that it can pivot and everything. They attract dog hair like nobody's business.
Any dirt, really.
And there's no way to get in there to clean it. I was hoping that there would be a way to just kind of pop the bottom of the head off so I could kind of get in there with some tweezers or something and pick the hair out. But once it gets clogged in there, it's in there for good.
I just saw a YouTube video before we ever opened ours. When it was on Force Friday, somebody had posted a video of it. And within just their demo, when they started showing it off, I saw all this dirt on it. And they had clean floors. They weren't dirty people. And that's why I wouldn't let Marjorie play with it. I'm like, the moment this thing hits the floor, it's going to start picking up every bit of dust, every bit of dog hair. So every bit of human hair. I mean, that gets around too. Yeah. And so I insisted that I do the photos of it before we actually roll it on the ground.
And as you guys know, our dog has, a lot of hair, and it's, long hair. And so after about 5 minutes of rolling BB-8 around, he's got kind of a beard coming out between the head and the ball.
Maybe you can attach a Swiffer to him.
There we go. Yeah, put him to work.
Now, this also has a hologram mode, and I was interested in that, and that's kind of like those VR apps, like when you go into stores and you point the virtual reality or augmented reality at a sign, and then it makes the sign look 3D in a 2D screen. And that's kind of what this seemed to do, too.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's pretty gimmicky, but I don't know. It's fun for the kids.
I was disappointed it only came with one hologram, and that's an X-Wing.
Yeah, but then you can record your own, though.
Yes, it gives you, like, this C-3PO, like, outline to put your head in, and you can record your own hologram. But it's not just showing your head. It's showing, like, some of the background area, too. So it's like it's displaying a projector screen. And maybe it was my angle, but I had a real hard time getting the hologram to not just appear on the droid. I wanted it to look like it was a little bit away from the droid, a little bit floating. Maybe I was too close to him, but I couldn't get that.
Yeah, you have to kind of step back from him a little bit in order, because it actually looks like it's being projected from BB-8's head. And then, so there's like a little beam, and then what you recorded shows up, a couple, maybe an inch on your screen away from BB-8.
I guess that would be cool if, like, we could sync two phones to him. He syncs by Bluetooth. And it is really easy. You just have to hold your phone near the droid to pair. I like that bit. But if I could, like, leave Marjorie a message, like, going to store, be back soon.
That would be awesome.
That would be really cool. Well, they did say that not only is the app going to get updates, but they can actually update the firmware.
And mine did. The very first time I turned him on, updating firmware.
So something like that could be down the road if it's just a programming thing.
Yeah. That's my hope, is that gets better. But those are the 3 modes of play, right? I mean, there were only 4 options in my menu, and one was room patrol, one was remote control, one was hologram, and then settings where you turn on voice control. Yep. And honestly, for $150, we played with him for 15, 20 minutes and then let him patrol the room for another half hour. And then we were like, all right, let's go do something else.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things with this. One, it's really, light on what it can do right now. But I think that, one, it looks really good on the shelf, on the base station.
Yes.
You said that it's shiny, so it doesn't really look like what you would expect him to look like in the movie. But he displays really well because he's shiny.
I'm scared to death, though, that with all these collisions he's doing, and on his own, I'm not that bad a driver, though I did hit a wall or two with the learning curve, but I'm afraid of scuffs. Has yours scuffed yet? You've played with yours more than I've played with mine.
No, I do not see any scuffs on BB-8. And he's actually been dropped.
Did he survive that?
He did.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't a big drop. I mean, it was only about maybe a foot and a half or 2, but it was onto a hardwood floor, and my heart skipped a beat. But he kept right on trucking and hasn't had any problems since. So I think he's really durable and well made. I mean, these Spheros, I saw that they are releasing a ramp that you can use to jump your Sphero, like the regular Sphero.
Like Sphero themselves are releasing the ramp?
Yeah, so it's not like the BB-8 ramp, right? It's for the regular Sphero.
Because I'm like, what if it lands on its head?
Yeah, I would assume that it's, they make them the same way. So it would be as durable as what they're using to, jump off these ramps and land. So, I think that they're pretty solidly made.
Well, that's cool then. I'll give it that. I am hopeful for firmware updates and app updates in the future, though, because, I mean, it basically had about the same playability for me as the remote control Target one. The room patrol was nice, but it wasn't even a blip compared to even that old R2-D2 we had. Even it would start to learn where the walls were, and that came out in 2002.
Yeah. Well, and you had mentioned that the Target one is line of sight only. Since this is Bluetooth, it's really nice because when I first got it out, my daughter was sitting in the kitchen, and I was just kind of sitting, a couple rooms down, and was able to kind of drive it around the corner. So she didn't even know that I was driving it, which was great. She was like, "What's that? What's that? What's he doing?" And of course, then she immediately got down from the table and started following him around everywhere. So I think that there's a lot of fun to be had with kids on it because they're just going to be enraptured by it. The problem being that the sound then comes from your phone. So as soon as she heard my phone make sound, she wanted to come over and see what I was doing on my phone.
Mm-hmm. And I had that same thing. It did go around a corner from me, and then I had absolutely no way of getting it back.
Yeah,
I have no idea where I was facing or what to do. I'm like, I had to go find it anyway. And so that's my problem is, it doesn't have to, it still to me has to be line of sight. The advantage is I don't have to keep the controller constantly pointed in its direction. I can be a little bit more lazy and just hold my phone and drive it that way without following the thing around. Overall, though, I don't know. I just feel like...
I feel kind of let down.
Yeah, for $150, I feel like it should do more. And my hope is it will do more after the movie's out. That's help me, Sphero app. You're my only hope.
I had a lot of fun with the Target one, so I was really excited when you brought down the Sphero one, and you let him come to me first before you came around the corner.
Which was fun. Yeah, I did the same thing.
And I was kind of let down by how little he actually did.
I think he's overhyped, is what I'm saying. I think he's cool, but for the price, for the size, for what it does...
Yeah, I think it's accurately priced, though, for the type of technology it is. Like, you see a lot of these, like, techie toys, and they are overpriced. Plus, you've got the licensing, which can't help the price either, so...
Yeah, you're right. You are right in that regard. I can't deny that. But compared to a lot of the other toys we review, I don't know. I think I'd rather put that $150 towards like a premium format Ray BB-8 that Sideshow may come out with or something. It'd be larger, more detailed. But that could all change when the app updates after the movie.
Right. Yep.
And I don't think my mediocre review of it's going to take any of the hype off. I still think it makes a great gift because people want it. And gifts are more about what people want than what people will use. But I wouldn't recommend it for kids, though. I mean, I know I, as a kid, got real bored of stuff real quick. That's why I liked video games or toys, action figures where I could use my imagination and make stories for them.
I would have broken this in no time.
I think I would have driven it around and been like, all right, there's no games with it. I think what I thought would be kind of fun to do if I wanted to extend the life of both these toys, and either one works the same way, is to go and get like, you've seen those little traffic cones that they make.
Oh, yeah.
And like put an obstacle course out and have races and timed events where you put BB-8 at the start. And you can do it with either one and see who can like slalom through the cones and do an obstacle course.
So do they do anything if you have two Spheros together?
Yeah, they had two going together. You just sync them to two different phones and you could race.
Well, I mean, other than that, did they have anything? Because remember how the R2s would interact?
I don't think so. I didn't see that at Toys R Us. Have you heard anything about that, Andrew?
Nope, I haven't. But that would be really cool if they like talk to each other, or
because the R2s will talk.
Or if Sphero comes out with an R2 and then they can talk to each other. Because it doesn't make a lot of sense to have Sphero interact, or it doesn't make any sense for BB-8 to be interacting with another BB-8, but... Yeah,
I mean, but the Furbaka interacts with other Furbakas and Furbies.
Yeah, but that's Furbaka.
Yeah, let's not get one of those.
Thanks for watching this video. You can see full episodes of Star Wars Action News with more collecting news and reviews at swactionnews.com. We also have thousands of toy and collectible photos in our photo gallery. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. May the pegs be stocked and the Force be with you.